if liberation is truly your focus for your spiritual practice, everything becomes part of that spiritual practice. A lot of people think that if I focus on my health, physical health, well, that's just, my physical body. If I focus on that, it's going to be, my mental body. If I focus on my intellectual side, then it's just, practicing this or that, and then people often try to really propagate themselves in their own minds without realizing it. And I know I've done this in the past. I'm not saying that I'm a saint here. However, I've also recognized that it's the attempt that you need to protect for yourself. It's the attempt of being who you really want to be. And when you have no friends, no family, whatever it is, all you've got is a full sack as a man. When all you've got is a full sack, that's it. Like, that's all you need, really. Now, this is not to say that you shouldn't go out and do lust or have lustful thoughts, or like, if you try to put so many limitations on who you're trying to be and who you're trying to embody, you're going to compress yourself in your own consciousness. And the fact of the matter is that most people who are even claiming to be spiritual only want to play the part. It's just the case. And I know this also because I've wanted to just play the part in the past. I wanted to just play the part. I wanted to just act as if, I'm really doing it. Now that I'm following the commandments and I see the creator is outside of myself, I'm really doing it. Because now that I see myself as a mutt, that is this disgusting bastard between heaven and hell, now I'm really doing it. That's not it either. There are really no options for you except to be. And to be who you are in the spirit of the moment in its totality. And if you're in a fight, go fight for it and crush your enemies. But even then, it's like you have to see that you're playing a game on a certain plane of consciousness. And even when it comes to family or friends or whatever the case is, it's like, it's all one anyway. And how do you, because I had somebody in my Godlike Mastery offer ask me recently, they asked, well, so if I know everything's fake, how do I stay grounded in this? How do I stay grounded in this matrix knowing that it's all fake? I said, well, it's not about, not doing things. It's not about doing things. It's about being who you are and letting the soul of existence express yourself through you so that you can do whatever you need to do to harmonize life in the spirit of the time. For example, with Bitcoin, last year, I really studied Bitcoin really heavily. And I got really into Bitcoin for like 3 months. All I did was study Bitcoin, like every single day, like in and out. Every single chance I could get, I was studying Bitcoin. And just the finance history, the history of finance, the chronological history of money, where money came from, all these things, right? And I got to a point in which, I was like, we gotta fight the power. This is the way to be. Like, how come people aren't recognizing that Bitcoin's the way, man? And now it's like, well, I see it still as the way to break off from the fiat currency system that's, eating our money away all the time. And with inflation and, with governments, endless wars, etc. I mean, whoever thinks that the war is going on right now, and I don't like to talk about this too much because I don't like to proliferate that into the collective, but it's like, guys, you see the wars going on? Isn't it at all possible, just consider for a moment that it's all possible that all of those sides are working together to like feed you propaganda, because there is no such thing as news. There is no such thing as news. Once you get to a certain point when you're oriented from a place of timelessness, there is no such thing as news. There's no such thing. Like, propaganda is the way that they manipulate your mind, and you call it news. Like, that's the thing, right? I mean, and you think about all the sports stuff going on and all of that, and Wimbledon's starting today, and I actually enjoy watching Wimbledon because it's a very, well, it used to be a very classy and classic sport. I really like tennis, but it's just, do I really want to start a revolution? It's like, well, what's going to harmonize this in the spirit of the time? I mean, if my being wanted to really express itself in that way, then yes, I will fight. Like, somebody in the Regal Academy a few months ago was saying, oh, well, you've got to pay your taxes, you got to do this. Like, this is just part of the human experience. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and give unto God what is God's. And I thought to myself, I'm not convinced that that's the case. I'm not convinced that that's the case, simply because it's all dependent upon where you're at in the spirit of the time. That's how you're going to present yourself, and that's how things are going to manifest. And so, like, even with family, it's like, do you really need a family? If liberation is your goal, which is even not like life is its own goal, right? But even if liberation is the goal, it's like, is it like, is it a goal, or is it just a way of being? Is it a frequency that you tune into? Because for me, it's a frequency that I tune into, and that's the way that I teach it. Now, I'm not the teacher. I'm not the educator. I'm the education, and I'm the mastery education for godliness. That's why I do what I do. And what I'm seeing is, even in the Regal Academy right now, it's becoming its own platform. And I didn't think that this was actually possible up until it started to just kind of form itself into that. And I'm very pleased with how that's becoming, because it's more than just a platform now. It's like a platform with online classes and group calls in which you can use any tools that you want at any time, because it's accessible instantaneously, if you have internet, of course, for anybody that wants to do the work. And it's just so amazing. Like, we live in such an amazing time, and yet for some reason it's like all that people seem to care about is the melodrama. And once you have a full sack, and you have a full sack for a long duration of time, you've burned out the lust long enough. Because here's the thing, like, a lot of people have asked me with semen retention and such, is like, well, how do I know when I have a full sack? That's like, you'll know when you have a full sack. You don't need to ask that question just yet. You don't need to ask that question. You'll know, because you're just operating on that vitality in which you're just being who you are. There's no sense of coming and going, because there's nowhere to go. Like, I hate to break it to you, but at the same time, it's like, somebody needs to tell you. Somebody's got to tell you this. And if it's not going to be, and it's definitely not going to be the religious leaders, and it's definitely not going to be the universities. It's not going to be anybody in the government. I mean, we practically worship these political figures. We practically worship these university professors. We treat them as the shamans of the city. We see the doctors in the white coats, and we see the psychologists as like these medicine men, and yet they're not. They don't even know themselves. How is it possible that we live in a society where everybody knows everything except who they are? Isn't that wild? And here's something that I've learned recently, is that you can be highly spiritually attuned, but psychologically immature. Now, what does that mean exactly? It means that your intuition is on point. You know, like I've seen this in people that I've worked with. I've worked with over 600 people across the world right now, excluding the Regal Academy. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that there are so many people who have seen this wonderful quality of intuition and their intuitive faculties and how to navigate the terrain in moving into timelessness off of these old timelines. And yet there's always some kind of resistance at some point. There's always some kind of resistance, man. And this resistance occurs when, like, we all do this. Like, we all do this. We all have this resistance at some point where it's getting a little too much. And that's where you have to ask yourself, well, do you want to play the part of walking the spiritual path, or do you want to actually be it? And, you know, I mean, even myself, over the last couple years, it's not like I ever wanted to quit. I never really thought about quitting. I just thought about redirecting my energy and doing, like, I don't quit ever. It's not in my DNA. I guess you could say, like, I don't really believe the way that I'm phrasing that is technically true in my philosophy of no philosophy, but you see what I'm saying. I don't really care for just giving into something. Like, if I'm going to end something, it's going to be for a purpose. And I'm going to redirect my energy, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep throwing things at the wall to see what sticks. That's just what I do. Because I'm relentless in my relentlessness. But I'm also capable of absolute stillness. And I've experienced that. And it's not that I'm, again, the master or the educator. And when I say that, I've noticed that some people message me and they say, well, then why should, if you're not a master and you're not an educator, then why should I learn anything from you? Well, that's like asking anybody who isn't liberated, which, guess what, is like hardly anybody. Actually, in fact, it is not anybody. It's nobody. It's nobody. Only somebody that's nobody. Only somebody that's nobody can actually be a master. And even then, it's just, you know, it's whatever. So all of these social conditionings of like how we're supposed to view people, like they want me to view myself in a certain way. And this probably happens to you too, where you'll experience certain things and people now expect you to, like, you know, be enough all the time. And it's like they expect you to be a certain way. And then when you grow and you evolve and you put new boundaries up, all of a sudden, like, oh, whoa. I used to be able to get away with, you know, disrespecting you in the past. What's going on now? It's like, yeah, well, that's not happening anymore. You know, that's what happened with narcissists. That's one of the reasons why I'm not in contact with my family, is because when I put up new boundaries, they continued to overstep. And it's like the only thing that you can do in that situation is just cut off. There's nothing else you can do. And I've already forgiven my family. I honor them and what they did. They did the best that they could with what they had. You know, that's the way that I see it. I have no ill will towards them at all. But it's also recognizing the lessons from that, you know, and remembering the lessons and learning how to love the lessons as well. I think that's something that many people get hung up about when it comes to like toxic family. Is, I mean, I get it. Believe me, I get it. Well, don't believe me. Don't believe me. I would rather prefer the term trust. Trust me if you choose to. If you choose to trust me, then trust that I have experienced hellishness like never before. I've experienced certain things that I won't talk about this on YouTube, but it's like, because here's the reason why, is because people think that they know you when they know your trauma. They're like, oh, now I, and it's almost like people feel like they have a one up on you when they come into like work with you. They feel like, oh, well, now I know who this guy is, but I'm gonna be continuing to not be who I am because I'm not sure if I can trust this person just yet. It's like, this is why, like, don't be afraid to just be who you are, but also have privacy. This is one thing that I think that our society really frowns down upon. Like, people who are private in their world and in their life, they often get ostracized. I mean, that's why I move with silence. I'm sure you're watching this. You move with silence. You see the way people look at you like, whoa, what is he doing? What is she doing? Oh, what's that? Who does he think he is? Yeah. Like, he's too good to talk to us? But then when you talk to them, they try to kill you with words. They try to cast spells on you and whatnot. It's just like, you guys, of course I'm not going to talk to you. If you see yourself, like, if you don't even respect yourself, how the f are you supposed to respect me? That's why we're silent. That's why we don't talk much, is because we see that you don't respect yourself. And we don't want issue, we don't want trouble, but hey, guess what? If a trouble comes, bada bing, bada boom, no trouble. That's something that's happened to me recently. I've had a whole situation. Holy smokes. Oh my gosh, it's just been day after day, week after week for 2 months, the situation. And now finally it's resolved. To a degree, anyway. To a degree, it's resolved. It's resolved enough to have me let go of that annoyingness. But even then, it's like I see my annoyingness as part, like my annoyedness, rather, as part of my human experience. I'm not attached to it because I know it's not going to be forever. But I see it as part of the mechanics of my biology and my experience as a human being part of the one soul of existence, as expressing itself, seeing this form, experiencing this form. That's just what it is. I mean, life is just so amazing, especially when you have a full sack, man. When you got a full sack and you just trust yourself, it's like you are unstoppable. You are unstoppable because you are the immovable force and the unstoppable force. Or the immovable object, the unstoppable force. That's what it is. See? Right then and there. We continue forward, man. We continue forward. I'm pumped because I just got back from the gym and I'm having some coffee. So I'm also really chill. Like, that feeling after you work out and you're just like, yeah. That's how it feels right now. But anyways, I trust that this message reached those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. We are going deeper and deeper into these types of topics. And so those that are ready, they're ready. Those that are not, that's okay. It's okay. You'll be ready. You'll be ready. You'll be ready to tune into this frequency sooner or later. I've had people that tell me they came across my work, months ago. And then they came back and they're like, oh, now I totally get what this guy's saying. So it's just about the timing and moving into a place of timelessness, because this frequency is not going to be for everybody. It's going to be for those who want to be nobody. All right. Be blessed. I do have 3 spots open for July now with my Godlike Mastery offer. So if you're interested in that total transformation, now's the time to apply for that. Otherwise, you can check out the Regal Academy and join that platform and academy there. Like, I was going to say it's a classroom, but it's a series of classrooms, because there's different types of classes available, like the shadow integration, the anima and animus integration. you know, the Maps of the Psyche, the Regal Gate class. We're doing music right now. Holy smokes. Shout out to the people making music in the Regal Academy. Wowzers. Like, we've had so many great series of demos recently. It's super fun, you know, like you're just making music with people across the world. Like, we live in such a cool time. And yet, you know, it's a bunch of BS anyway, too. It's a balance, you know, it's a balance. It's a balance of harmony. So, peace be with you. Be blessed. Until next time.